The rain fell in silver sheets across Michigan Avenue, turning the Chicago night into a blur of neon and shadow. I first saw her stepping out from beneath the awning of an old theater, coat collar high, dark glasses shielding her eyes despite the late hour and the storm. One brief glance as our paths crossed, and something inside me shifted, like a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. She offered the faintest curve of a smile, then disappeared into the crowd. Yet her presence lingered on my skin like the memory of a touch. Hey everyone, if that opening hook already has you leaning in, hit that like button right now and drop a comment. Have you ever locked eyes with a stranger and felt your whole world tilt? Let me know below. I read every single comment from you guys. My name is Daniel Reed. For 15 years I had walked the shadowed streets of this city as a private investigator, chasing cheating spouses, corporate thieves, and ghosts of every kind. I thought I had grown numb to beauty and mystery alike. Elena Voss proved me wrong from the very first night. I had been hired by a hedge fund manager convinced his wife was entangled in something dangerous within an elite social circle. The job seemed routine, surveillance on a handful of high-profile events. But every trail led back to her. Elena Voss, art curator, enigma wrapped in silk and secrets. Public records showed a woman of flawless poise. 32, raven hair, porcelain skin, and a reputation that made powerful men forget their own names. No scandals attached to her directly, yet whispers followed wherever she went. If you're enjoying this slow-burn thriller so far, smash that like button and subscribe with notifications on. We're just getting started, and this story builds heat and suspense you won't want to miss. I began watching from a distance. Gallery openings bathed in warm light and expensive perfume. Charity galas where champagne flowed like water. She moved through these worlds like smoke, always observed, never truly known. On the sixth night, at a private exhibition of Renaissance sketches, she turned directly toward the corner where I stood pretending to study a painting. She approached without hesitation, stopping close enough that the subtle scent of jasmine and warm skin reached me. Her voice, low and velvet-edged, sent a slow ripple down my spine. "You've been following me for 6 days, Mr. Reed," she said, lips brushing the rim of her wine glass. "Most men at least attempt subtlety, or buy me a drink first." Heat rose in my chest. And if I offered both? Her dark eyes held mine, unblinking. A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Then perhaps I would let you see a little more of me. But careful, Daniel. Curiosity has cost better men than you their peace." The way she spoke my name felt intimate, almost possessive. As she turned to leave, her fingers grazed my wrist, light, deliberate, electric. The brief contact left me standing there long after she had vanished into the crowd, heart hammering with a mixture of suspicion and raw desire. Comment right now. Would you have walked away at that moment, or taken the first dangerous step toward her? Be honest, American fam. Let's see those replies. 2 nights later, my phone vibrated with a single message. "Midnight. My penthouse. Come alone." I went. The private elevator opened straight into her world. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the glittering lake and sleeping city. Soft lighting cast gentle shadows across minimalist furniture and original artworks. Elena greeted me barefoot, wearing a midnight blue silk dress that clung and flowed with her movements. Her hair fell loose over one shoulder. We began on the wide balcony, wine glasses in hand, the cool wind tugging at our clothes. Conversation drifted easily at first, art, the weight of city life, the masks people wear. But beneath every word ran a deeper current. Her knee brushed mine as we sat on the low bench. Her fingers traced idle patterns on the stem of her glass while she watched my mouth. Each small touch built the tension until the air itself felt charged. Hours slipped away. Eventually she stood and extended her hand. "Dance with me." No music, just the rain and us. I pulled her close, her body molded against mine with natural grace. We swayed slowly, her head resting near my shoulder, heartbeat to heartbeat. Her fingers slipped beneath my jacket, tracing the line of my back through fabric in slow, sensual strokes that made my breath grow uneven. I let one hand rest at the small of her back, feeling the warmth of her through silk. You feel dangerous, I murmured against her hair. Good, she whispered, tilting her face upward until our lips hovered a breath apart. I've been watching you too, Daniel, the way you search for truth in every shadow. It makes me want things I stopped allowing myself long ago. The first kiss was slow, exploratory, full of restraint and deepening longing. Her lips were soft, warm, tasting faintly of wine. When restraint finally frayed, the kiss grew hungrier. We moved inside without breaking contact, hands exploring with growing urgency yet never rushing. Clothes were shed like unnecessary layers between us. In the soft glow of city light filtering through rain-streaked glass, we discovered each other in a slow burn of touches, sighs, and whispered names. Fade to black, soft rain sounds and tender music play. The night blurred into a haze of sensation and emotion. Every caress carried reverence and hunger. Every shared breath pulled us deeper. When sleep finally claimed us in the tangle of silk sheets that smelled of her perfume, I knew I was already in too deep. If that tension has you hooked, hit like and subscribe. This is only the beginning of their story. Drop a fire in the comments if you felt that heat. Morning light brought the first subtle cracks. I woke to find her standing at the window in a thin robe, staring out at the lake with distant eyes. When I approached from behind and wrapped my arms around her waist, pressing a kiss to the side of her neck, she stiffened for the briefest moment before leaning back into me. The hesitation was almost imperceptible, yet I felt it. Bad dreams? I asked, lips lingering against her skin. Old ghosts, she replied softly. She turned in my arms and kissed me with sudden intensity, as if trying to drown memory in the present. Her hands moved over me with purpose, pulling me back toward the bed. We lost ourselves again in slow, deliberate intimacy until the tension left her body and she sighed my name like a quiet surrender. Over the following weeks, our connection deepened even as small fractures appeared in her perfect surface. Late dinners on her terrace where she would rest her head in my lap while I ran fingers through her dark hair. Slow dances in the living room that inevitably led to breathless kisses and scattered clothing. Nights spent talking until dawn about loneliness, the weight of being admired yet never truly seen. One evening her phone rang at 3 a.m. She slipped from bed, silk robe whispering as she moved to the far room. I heard the low, tense murmur of her voice. When she returned, her smile slid back into place too neatly. She climbed beneath the sheets and pressed her body flush against mine, legs intertwining. Make me forget, she breathed against my throat. I did, tracing every curve with patient hands, kissing along her collarbone and down the elegant line of her spine until she trembled and the shadows left her eyes for a time. What would you do in my place? Comment below. Ignore the red flags because the connection felt electric, or walk away. Let's get a real conversation going. American audience, I want to hear from you. Yet the questions multiplied. A locked drawer in her study. The occasional distant look when she thought I wasn't watching. A second phone I glimpsed once, quickly hidden. Still, the pull between us only strengthened. On quiet afternoons, she would surprise me by arriving at my office, locking the door, and crossing the room with unmistakable intent. She would climb into my lap, frame my face with her hands, and kiss me until the rest of the world ceased to exist. Those stolen moments were urgent, emotional, filled with a desperation that spoke of deeper fears. I could no longer ignore the inconsistencies. I began digging beneath the surface of Elena Voss. What I uncovered sent ice through my veins. She had lived under different names in other cities: Boston, Miami, San Francisco. In each place, powerful men had become dangerously obsessed. Fortunes drained. Reputations shattered. One judge had leapt from a rooftop after months in her orbit. Another CEO sat in federal prison for embezzlement he swore had been orchestrated. The pattern was too consistent to dismiss, yet something larger lurked beneath it. Elena was not simply a black widow. She was a carefully honed instrument. The deeper I probed, the more she drew me in. One rainy evening, she appeared at my office unannounced after I had spent the day chasing encrypted leads. Instead of anger, fear flickered across her features, followed quickly by raw longing. She locked the door, dimmed the lights, and came to me without words. Straddling my lap, She kissed me with trembling urgency. Deep, consuming kisses that spoke of both terror and need. Our bodies moved together in the dim office light with desperate emotion, every touch carrying apology and fierce attachment. Fade to black. Emotional music swells with rain. Afterward she clung to me, forehead pressed to mine. They own pieces of me, Daniel. But with you, it stopped being an act long ago. Stay anyway, please. The full truth broke open during a violent thunderstorm that rattled the windows of her penthouse. Lightning flashed across her tear-streaked face as she finally opened every hidden file. Recordings, ledgers, names. A shadow network existed that identified vulnerable, beautiful, intelligent women and shaped them into perfect weapons. Seduction, intimate access, information turned into quiet leverage. Elena had been recruited at 19 after a betrayal left her broken. They offered power, beauty, protection. She became their finest creation, porcelain on the outside, fractured within. I used people, she confessed, voice raw as thunder rolled outside. But every moment with you became real. Every touch. Every night I fell asleep in your arms. I want out. I want us. She stepped into my embrace. The storm lit the room in stark bursts as we came together with new intensity. Slow, reverent, edged with the knowledge that tomorrow might tear us apart. My hands memorized the warmth of her back, the curve of her waist. She whispered my name like both prayer and plea. We moved through the night as two people desperate to imprint themselves on each other before the world intruded. If you're still watching and feeling this emotional roller coaster, like the video and subscribe. We're building toward the climax. Tell me in the comments. Could you forgive someone with a dangerous past if the love felt this real and deep? Going public with the evidence carried a heavy price. Raids swept through hidden offices. Headlines screamed. Arrests followed. The predatory network cracked and began to crumble, but Elena's past pursued her relentlessly. Death threats arrived in elegant envelopes. She vanished for 23 agonizing days. I wandered my apartment like a ghost, replaying every shared moment. The jasmine scent of her hair, the soft sounds she made when my lips found the sensitive spot beneath her ear, the way she looked at me in the quiet hours after passion, as if I were the only real thing she had ever known. Then, on a quiet rainy evening much like the one we first met, my doorbell rang. She stood on the threshold soaked to the bone, hair plastered to her face, eyes red-rimmed but clear of their usual guarded veil. No makeup, no perfect mask, just Elena. I'm free, she said, voice cracking. But I don't know how to be ordinary. I don't know how to be real. I pulled her inside without hesitation, wrapped her in my arms, and kissed her with every ounce of longing I had carried during her absence. We spent that night rediscovering one another in unhurried exploration. Tender touches, whispered confessions between kisses, moments of laughter mixed with tears. The slow burn of renewed intimacy carried none of the earlier performance, only honest emotion and deepening love. Morning found us at the window watching the sunrise paint the lake in gold and rose. Her back rested against my chest. My arms circled her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. The city stirred below us, indifferent to the fragile new beginning we had carved from danger and desire. Elena turned her head slightly, brushing her lips against my jaw. I'm still afraid, she admitted softly. I know, I replied, tightening my hold. But you're not alone anymore. Not in the light. Not in the dark. For the first time since I had met her, the smile that touched her lips reached all the way to her eyes, imperfect, genuine, and entirely hers. Whatever shadows remained, we would face them together, one slow, intentional touch at a time. Wow, if you stayed until the very end of this long story, you're incredible. Drop a like if the romance and suspense kept you glued to the screen. Subscribe for more stories like this, and comment your final thoughts. Would you risk everything for a connection this intense? What should happen in their next chapter? Let's talk in the comments, America. I appreciate every one of you watching. Mature themes, viewer discretion advised. This is a fictional story for entertainment only.